bike, come on.
Hey, what's up? I'm Lapierre. We are back for another Pinkbike field test. This time we're out here in Quebec at the Empire 47 trails to tackle the impossible climb section. Now we have 6 of the latest and greatest XC and trail bikes ready to test. As usual, all the bikes have been set up with control tires to the same PSI. Now the suspension, seat height, all that stuff is exactly to my preference. Before we get into this ultra slippery, impossible climb, we're gonna ask Mike Levy to take us through the course today.
All right, everybody, I've done a few of these impossible climbs in the past, but this time it's Matt's turn again. I'm here for emotional support and also to give you guys a walk through the course. So let's do exactly that. It's extremely slick and it starts off with a little rock hump here, a little up over this thing. And he's gonna be going about 0 miles an hour right here, and it is pretty slick, and he's faced with his first little uphill push up over these rocks, and he's gonna put them right into all these super wet, slippery roots. Can you see how slick this is? Like, I think I'm gonna eat just walking up this, let alone riding up it. So he's gonna come up here over these roots, and then here, he's gonna have to turn slightly right to get around here because it's a little bit drier, and there's obviously way more traction here than where this slow moving creek is sitting. I think this is where all the mosquitoes are mating, apparently. Up here, we get into a real crux move of this climb. You can see it transfers from slick, wet mud onto these rocks. Now, these rocks are mostly dryish, but believe me, they're very different than at home. These things are so slick. So, hopefully, he's gonna have a little bit of momentum here, and he could push or hump his bike up here, right up here. Look at this. Look at how slippery this is. And then it finishes right up there. But first, again, he's got to deal with this stuff. It's more wet roots, more super slick riding. Now, the big thing here is that this course is only going to get slipperier. It's only going to get harder the more that he does it. So we'll see how that plays out. And hopefully he ends up right here at the top. Now, if I was doing the impossible climb, I'm pretty sure I would get all the bikes up here, probably without dabbing. I'm not sure if Matt's capable, but fingers crossed, we'll see what he can do.
All right, this is the Lapierre XRM. It is by far the most XC focused bike. We're gonna see how this one gets on. It's got a lot of challenges right out of the gate. Let's go. First one, pretty substantial step. Do a shift. Right up this. Oh, yeah. Oh, look how steep this is. Pulled the bark right off that root. This bike demands that you stay quite far forward because it is short. That makes it really snappy on some of the descents and corners, but it's hard to manage on this steep, slippery uphill. This is the BMC 4-stroke LT, 20 mils more travel than the XC race version, but we've had an issue with the integrated dropper, so it's slammed a little bit lower than we would want for the optimal climbing position. It's gonna make it a lot harder for this impossible climb. It is really slick out here. Oh. I gotta stand up, so I can't get quite the same traction. A lot more moving around. Did make it a little bit further than the Lapierre. It is a longer bike, that helps a lot. This is Ibis's XC. It's a carbon frame made in the USA. It's a very light package. Let's see if it gets up the impossible climb. We're going. Oh man, so that is not the line I wanted to be on, but I had to keep that bike moving. Any stalls in this slippery goop, I'm just gonna lose all power. This thing actually had quite a good bit of traction through those routes and made a difference compared to some of the other bikes. This is Evil's Following. Another blacked out bike, 120 mils of travel. It's also very short and compact, so let's see how this does on one of the steeper sections in the impossible climb. Pretty decent traction from that Delta Link, but man, yeah, I just keep stalling at this one steep spot because the bikes are so short. This thing has 4 30 mil chainstays, very short front center as well. Even with that stem slammed, this can't keep the weight forward. All right, this is the RSD Wildcat V3. It's the heaviest bike in test, also one of the longest, has 125 mils of travel. And all those things might give it some more composure up on the steep, slippery climb. Let's go. Look at that, spinning already. Get some speed. Oh my God. This goose out here, this is crazy. Just keeps spinning out in this one spot. The longer bike seemed to help, but these tires are just caking up right away. So this is the Allied BC40. You might have heard of the brand from the gravel world of cycling. This is their first mountain bike frame, and they've made it in the USA. It's been one of our favorites out on the field, so let's give it a shot on the impossible climb. Oh, same stupid spot. This is just getting really chewed up. It's really goopy. Not getting any traction in here. It's just getting harder and harder. Impossible climb. That's what happens. So we're coming to a crux here pretty early on. After a couple trials through, the course is getting really slippery. Some roots are getting exposed. It's changing quite a bit. So we're gonna add a bit more of an equalizer in and see if we can change up the line just a little bit so we can get up the course further and see where those other bikes might differentiate. All these little spiderweb roots are popping up after a couple runs through this really soupy goose poop. Tires are just caking up and not getting any traction, so maybe a rock or two will help. We'll see what we can do here. So the course has deteriorated quite a bit. We've added a little bit of gravel and a couple rocks in some sections. Gonna give that another shot on the Allied. Feel like I can make it up here. Just need to get that right moment to click. Let's give it a shot. Still super slippery, very steep. The bike's getting traction, the tires are just caked. I mean, the bike's working, but the tires are just caked up, and no amount of suspension or geometry is gonna fix that, unfortunately. So we're standing here with the Ibis XC, the bike that made it farthest up the slick as impossible climb out in these ultra saturated Quebec forests. What can I say? The track just got harder and harder as we put more bikes through the test. It was tricky from the get-go, but there were a couple bikes that had a little bit more traction than others, and the Ibis was one of them. We saw that out on the course. Okay, so that's it for the impossible climb. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you check out all the videos from the Quebec field test. I'm ready to get some ice cream or hop in a lake, so let's get out of here.